Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 166, 421 The Forbidden One Falls. 166th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Phoenix Terrace Junior Minister's Residence. Yang Shenjing twisted off the head of the holy spiritual master Liang Chu, extracted the spirit realm from his brow, and casually tossed the mangled head to the ground. With his hands clasped behind his back, he gazed at the sky, watching the awe-inspiring transcendent war unfold. His eyes burned with longing. This is the power of transcendence, he thought, surpassing all natural laws, looking down upon mortal beings. Every gesture carries world-shattering energy. Every moment, tens of thousands of martial mystic cultivators in the city perished in the aftershocks of the transcendent battle, falling like blades of grass. Lingxiao Palace is finished today. Yang Shenjing sighed, his mood neither good nor bad. Yao Qian stood behind him. I thought Duke Taishi's secret preparations and lightning-fast purge of internal threats would lead to a clash of equals. But these foreign powerhouses are all regional overlords, it's a complete rout. No matter which side wins, we can calmly choose our allegiance. That's the true path to victory. Yang Shenjing declared. The 800 zhang tall Qilin Terrace was stained crimson with blood, its steps littered with corpses. Only the mountain peak remained unconquered. Princess Yunchang, Xingyuanu, Tai Shi Yu, and countless other cultivators from the city surged into the blood-soaked Qilin Terrace, undeterred by the transcendent terror that permeated the air. They rushed to the undamaged black stone structures, repairing the formation foundations and activating the formations. Only by reactivating these foundations could the city-protecting formation, Immortal Origin Formation, 9 Heavens Beyond the Clouds Grand Formation, and 36 Earth Veins unleash their true power. Even though the situation seemed utterly hopeless. At the summit of Qilin Terrace Mountain, the third palace master was engulfed in spiritual light flame. Her gaze, finally unable to resist, drifted toward the distant Phoenix Pavilion as the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince loomed within striking distance. Her expression mirrored that of a bullied little girl, filled with such grievance that she seemed on the verge of tears. Yet her eyes burned with a resolve far stronger than any childhood tears. Her psychic power voice echoed toward the Phoenix Pavilion, eldest senior sister. Can you truly not sense the outside world? I can't hold out any longer. How much longer will you remain asleep? The melodious chime of wind chimes reverberated across the cloud heaven immortal plain. The sound waves reached Qilin Terrace, carrying the chime of wind chimes accompanied by faint spatial ripples. This is the 100 Hell Wind Chime. The third palace master's phoenix eyes immediately snapped toward the direction of the chimes, filled with disbelief. This was 10 times, even 100 times more shocking than the eldest senior sister emerging from the Phoenix Pavilion at this moment. The 100 Hells Wind Chime was forged from 100 extraordinary immortal bones, each imbued with spatial power and containing an inner realm like a hellish prison. It was their master's supreme spiritual artifact. But it had vanished along with their master 1,000 years ago. A familiar figure in crimson robes appeared before the third palace master's eyes, hovering outside the formation's shimmering barrier at the east city gate. Her black hair billowed as she proudly wielded her sword. Her heart churned like a stormy sea, an overwhelming bitterness surging to her eyes. A corner of the formation's barrier opened, and the crimson-robed figure flew in with a sharp aura, radiating the majesty of an ancient heavenly emperor. The transcendent forces attacking Qilin Terrace abruptly halted their attack, gazing over in stunned confusion. For a moment, they were completely caught off guard. Nearly all of them were over 1,000 years old, having lived through the era when the Zhenhai Guanwu reigned supreme in the Lingxiao realm. Within the city, someone roared, It's the Mist Heavenly Sovereign returned. The crimson figure hovered in midair, ripples of spatial power radiating from beneath her feet. After exchanging glances with the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince, Lord Lan, and the others on Qilin Terrace, she transformed into a streak of light and soared toward the golden coffin of the Reaped, which was suspended in the clouds. The golden coffin fled like a shooting star across the sky, but its escape was futile. Zhenhai Guanwu instantly overtook it. The coffin unleashed a torrent of spiritual qi, its golden light blazing 10,000 feet high. The 100 beasts carved into its surface sprang to life, transforming into golden dragons, phoenixes, qilins, luan birds, kunpengs, kui bulls, gush, chongming, and other ancient immortal giant beasts, as if the era of ancient immortal titans had returned. Zhenhai Guanwu wielded the void sword, still sheathed, like a staff, striking down with it to shatter all the spectral forms of the ancient immortal giant beasts. The force of the blows slammed into the coffin's surface. Boom! The coffin resonated with a clangorous clang, like a celestial bell being struck. Waves of energy rippled through the void. Inside the coffin, a blood-curdling scream echoed, the occupant injured by the concussive force. The reaped, headless and clad in Buddhist robes, had pried open the coffin lid. His flesh was mangled, dripping with blood, as he desperately tried to escape. If you like staying in coffins so much, then stay in one forever. Zhenhai Guanwu slammed the coffin lid shut, sealing the narrow gap he had managed to pry open. With a downward strike, Zhenhai Guanwu slammed her palm onto the coffin lid, sending the palace-sized golden coffin crashing from midair to the ground, smashing into the ruins of the district destroyed by transcendent blood chi flames. Boom! A massive crater formed in the 10-mile district. The golden coffin buckled and deformed. Inside, there was no scream, not even a sound. The soul spirit had been shattered by the impact. The coffin mountain's forbidden one had been slain with a single strike. Far away, and Shanjing, who had witnessed the entire scene, felt the red prayer beads in her hand snap, scattering across the ground. Zhenhai Guanwu lifted the golden coffin with one hand, soared into the air, and hurled it toward the Six Thoughts Zen temple. Bang! The golden coffin pierced through the monastery's defensive formations like an arrow through paper. A demon mountain collapsed with a thunderous roar, burying all 1,200 monks beneath its rubble. Zen Master Six Thoughts burst from the earth, his soul nearly fleeing his body in terror. Glancing at Zhenhai Guanwu, he fled toward Qilin Terrace with all his might. Only by reaching Qilin Terrace could he hope to survive. Yet the more he fled, the more he felt a chilling certainty that Zhenhai Guanwu was right behind him, her intent had locked onto him. Whoosh! The void sword flew from Zhenhai Guanwu's hand, traversing dozens of miles in an instant. It pierced through Zen Master Six Thoughts, pinning him to the stone steps at the foot of Qilin Terrace Mountain. The sword remained sheathed. Moss, tear. The third palace master, standing atop Qilin Terrace Mountain, finally dared to acknowledge the truth. Her resolute gaze softened, brimming with both a millennium's worth of longing and the pent-up emotions from recent days of bearing immense pressure alone. In that moment, she desperately wanted to weep, yet feared her master's reprimand. Amidst the chiming of wind chimes, Zhenhai Guanwu arrived at the foot of Qilin Terrace Mountain and drew the void sword. On the steps, Zen Master Six Thoughts lay with a gaping, fist-sized hole in his back, his body nearly torn asunder and his life force completely extinguished. Within the surrounding black stone structures, the Lingxiao martial mystic cultivators and psychic masters activating the formations exchanged glances before kneeling in unison. Greetings. Greetings, Mist Heavenly Sovereign. Tai Shi Yu knelt, his forehead pressed to the ground in prostration. Xuanhuan also knelt, her heart pounding with even greater shock than the others present, her mind flashing back to the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's earlier encounter with the Divine Hidden One. Of course, none were as stunned as Tai Shi Bai, who remained far away in an earth vein tower in South City. He was the only person in the city, besides Duke Tai Shi, who knew about yesterday's wedding banquet. Welcome back to Lingxiao, Mist Heavenly Sovereign. Princess Yun Chong knelt on one knee, her aged voice resonating across the entire city. Welcome back to Lingxiao, Mist Heavenly Sovereign. The crowd on Qilin Terrace roared in unison, their voices reaching a fever pitch. Welcome back to Lingxiao, Mist Heavenly Sovereign. The sound gradually rose within the city, echoing like a tidal wave, layer upon layer, its momentum unstoppable. It was utterly unbelievable, yet deeply inspiring. Many martial mystic cultivators in the city hadn't even glimpsed the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's true form, yet they joined the chorus of shouts. 1,000 years ago, during the Mist Heavenly Sovereign's era, the Lingxiao realm had encompassed 300 provinces, reaching its zenith. Many took pride in that golden age, knowing Lingxiao had once shone with unparalleled glory. Zhenhai Guanwu, Mist Heavenly Sovereign, drew her sword and began ascending the mountain, her gaze sweeping over the corpses and shattered ruins. Her killing intent surged. Little Zhang, Conger, maintain the formations flawlessly. Don't let them escape. Leave the rest to your master. The third palace master finally heard her master's response, her emotions overwhelming her. She wept with joy, nodding vigorously as she whispered, Master. I've truly missed you so much. Among Zhenhai Guanwu's 3 disciples, the third palace master possessed the gentlest nature. Thus, instead of teaching her the martial mystic path, she had guided her in cultivating psychic power. Lord Land fully activated the yellow mud colossal warship, maximizing its defenses. An amber glow enveloped the vessel, while countless scriptures swirled around it. Li Longshu stood atop the Qilin Terrace, over 700 zhang high, his eyes filled with apprehension. Mist Heavenly Sovereign, this is Lingxiao City. No matter how powerful you are, if you try to kill us all, the city's 10 million inhabitants will perish with us. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's body shimmered as a suit of armor materialized around him, radiating immortal haze in 4 colors. His figure stood as tall and imposing as a divine peak, his gaze fixed on Zhenhai Guanwu. Mist Heavenly Sovereign, your condition is unstable. Your spiritual chi isn't at the level of a martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor, it carries the aura of Yu Yao. The Void Sword is also Yu Yao's battle weapon. When you left the city earlier, you were sending her away, weren't you? What's this? Do you lack the confidence to defeat us? As one of the strongest cultivators below the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor, Yu Daojun possessed unparalleled insight and wisdom, capable of discerning truth from the slightest details. More importantly, he could exploit his opponent's mental vulnerabilities, striking directly at their lack of confidence. Hearing the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's words, the transcendent cultivators, who had been shaken by Zhenhai Guanwu's formidable presence, steeled their resolve and unleashed their most powerful spiritual artifacts. Unless a martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor descended, no matter who their opponent was, they would die today. Crimson Phoenix stood amidst fiery clouds, laughing heartily. Li Longshu is right. Fighting within Lingxiao City. Even if the Mist Heavenly Sovereign wins, the city's human population will be wiped out completely. Zhenhai Guanwu ascended step by step, not even glancing at Crimson Phoenix. She locked eyes with Yu Daojun. Back then, I pursued Yu Baxian for 4 million li. If not for the joint intervention of several martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor from Yingzhou, who feared a war between heavenly emperors would harm too many innocents, do you think a mere oath could have saved his life? With these words, Zhenhai Guanwu also conveyed to Li Longshu and Crimson Phoenix that she had never been restrained by concerns for harming innocents when pursuing the demon monarch. Today, with the Lingxiao life realm's very survival at stake, she would be even less constrained. Since the Mist Heavenly Sovereign has brought up old grudges, this junior dares to request guidance, to avenge the humiliation of my father's oath and wash away the Demon Kingdom's 2,000-year shame. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's sharp gaze swept over Lord Lan, Li Longshu, Crimson Phoenix, and the others, making it clear he wouldn't act alone. Zhenhai Guanwu's return after a millennium was bound to stir up a tempest in Yingzhou. Who knew what state she was in now? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 167 422 1 against 4. 167th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The city-protecting formations of Lingxiao City was a complex tapestry of formation glyphs, cloud mist, thunder and lightning, and aurora-like energies, woven into 9 layers. These layers, spaced 100 zhong apart, stretched from 100 zhong above the ground to 1,000 zhong, level with the Phoenix Pavilion, dividing the city into 9 distinct formation worlds, each layer reinforcing the others to create an impenetrable defense. Currently, the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom and his group of transcendents were positioned between the 6th and 7th layers of the formation. Zhenhai Guanwu couldn't truly disregard the lives of the city's 10 million citizens. She understood that if she were captured, not only would the people of the city perish, but she herself would meet her end within its walls. Therefore, she would never allow the enemies from Phoenix Terrace Mountain to return to the city below. Whoosh! Zhenhai Guanwu transformed into a crimson beam of light, soaring upward through the layers of the formation light veil until she reached the same level as the transcendents. She immediately launched the first strike, unleashing a vast expanse of golden rosy mist. The golden rosy mist flooded hundreds of li within the city-protecting formation, coalescing into a surging, tidal wave that swept across the sky and earth, crashing toward the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom, Crimson Phoenix, Li Longshu, the Transcendents of the Sacred Dark Family, and Madame Yi. Imperial Technique. Mist Sea crushes the Star River. Someone recognized Zhenhai Guanwu's signature technique. Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators gain a basic understanding of imperial techniques but primarily focus on cultivating great techniques. Each layer of the great techniques, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, presents a formidable challenge to overcome. However, once mastered, each layer often allows one to break through the immortal realm shackles and ascend to a new realm of existence. Only transcendents, with their vast lifespans, dedicate significant time to studying imperial techniques, seeking higher levels of combat prowess. Given Zhenhai Guanwu's mastery of the martial mystic Dao, the level of imperial technique she could unleash was unimaginable. The transcendents standing atop the black stone structures of Qilin Terrace immediately activated their full-body defenses, casting Dao techniques and activating defensive spiritual artifacts. Among them, the swift Crimson Phoenix transformed into a fiery streak of light, darting to the opposite side of Qilin Terrace to evade the attack. Only the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom remained unfazed, his figure as immovable as a mountain, his gaze as calm as an ancient well. He firmly believed that if Zhenhai Guanwu possessed the combat power of a martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor, they would never have had the opportunity to stand on Phoenix Terrace Mountain today. Almost simultaneously with Zhenhai Guanwu unleashing her imperial technique, the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom mobilized the power of the 4 immortal gates. 4 immortal gates, 4 distinct powers, converged and intertwined. The air beneath his feet exploded as he unleashed a fist technique honed over millennia, an imperial technique, the Holy Fist scripture, colliding with the overwhelming golden rosy mist surging like a tidal wave. This golden rosy mist was no ordinary phenomenon, it could crush even transcendent physiques into crimson sand, representing the pinnacle of imperial technique's destructive power. Boom! The crown prince of the demon kingdom's blood chi surged like a divine river. His fist strike shattered the space, dispersing the golden rosy mist within miles. Instantly, the mist coalesced again, surging forward with renewed ferocity. He spread his arms wide, and the luminous projections of the four immortal gates materialized before him, overlapping and merging. With a surge of fist energy, they pierced through the golden rosy mist, hurtling toward the distant Zhenhai Guanwu. The Zhenhai Guanwu shifted her position using a spatial escape technique, appearing above the four immortal gate projections alongside the golden rosy mist, which now cascaded down like a golden ocean. Whoosh! Her hand gripped the sword hilt, drawing the void sword with a swift, rightward motion. The blade sang as it left its sheath, its piercing resonance causing even the transcendent beings present to wince. Her gaze sharp, the sword flashed horizontally, cleaving directly at the crown prince of the demon kingdom, utterly unafraid of splitting Qilin Terrace in two with a single strike. A swordsman must never hesitate, nor allow their strikes to linger. The crown prince had no intention of dodging. With his millennia of martial mystic cultivation experience and keen insight, he had already grasped the Zhenhai Guanwu's state and power. Standing at the pinnacle of transcendence, he would not yield a single step to anyone but the heavenly emperor himself. Not even a single step. Cloud concealment. His ancestral field trembled, and the space before him shattered like a bursting bubble. A magnificent immortal gate materialized from his ancestral field, its material resembling both stone and jade, heavier than any mountain. In an instant, it shattered 3 layers of the city-protecting formation. The skies above Lingxiao City erupted in chaotic formation power, and destructive energy shook the cloud heaven immortal plane for thousands of miles. The cloud concealment immortal gate blocked the void sword's sword radiance. The crown prince descended to the gate's summit, forming a hand seal, wind thunder. A second immortal gate erupted from his ancestral field, its wind thunderous roar reverberating across 10,000 miles. Even those standing on Taoli Peach and Plum Mountain, within the Zuaoqiu sect in distant Chu Prefecture city, could faintly hear its thunderous rumble. Every martial mystic cultivator in the world could sense the crown prince of the demon kingdom's terrifying cultivation, his power pressing down on the entire Lingxiao realm. Some great powers and transcendents who had intended to rush to the cloud heaven immortal plane to provide aid were now frozen in their tracks, overwhelmed by his oppressive aura. Starlight. The third immortal gate soared forth, transforming the 3,000-li cloud heaven immortal plane into a sea of stars. Its starlight pierced through all formations. Below, within the city, martial mystic cultivators below the Dao Seed realm found it nearly impossible to circulate their spiritual qi, suppressed by the combined might of the 3 immortal gates. Looking up, they saw 3 gates to the immortal realm opening, each unleashing a different energy that threatened to shatter the city-protecting formation. Within the city, the formation light veils of every ward activated. Above each ward, a prefectural governor's official seal hovered, wielded by a mist shadow army expert, while the Dao Seed realm and 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators within each ward worked together to activate it. Zhe Shantong raced through the ward streets, shouting, "Spiritual masters and Dao Seed realm martial mystic cultivators in the city. Those unafraid of death, follow me to Qilin Terrace to take control of the formations. If we can't defend Lingxiao City, we'll die anyway. Count me in. Even if that damned crown prince is an invincible demon god, we'll fight. With the mist celestial, we'll wage war against the foreign invaders." Figures surged forth from every ward, rushing toward Qilin Terrace with the fervor of those marching to their deaths. The return of the mist celestial had given them a banner to rally under, dispelling their former disillusionment and hatred toward the imperial court. Though they knew they could be reduced to ashes in an instant by the Transcendent's overwhelming power, someone had to reactivate the foundational matrix of Qilin Terrace's formation, assisting Duke Taishi and the Third Palace Master. Only by combining the city-protecting formation with the 9 heavens beyond the clouds grand formation could they safeguard the entire city and potentially trap and eliminate the enemy within its walls. When one wave fell, another would inevitably follow. The battle to purge internal threats from the city gradually concluded, and the chaos began to subside. 36 earth vein towers, connected to the 36 subterranean earth veins, simultaneously emitted beams of light from their peaks. These 36 beams intertwined with the 9 layers of the city-protecting formation, instantly amplifying the city's defensive power tenfold. Zhenhai Guanwu, sword in hand, glared at the crown prince of the demon kingdom, who stood between the 3 immortal gates. Where is the 4th immortal gate, heavenly revelation? The mist celestial dares not engage in close combat, revealing the fragility of his physical form. She refuses to wield the Heavenly Emperor's willpower, proving she possesses none. A faint aura of death clings to you, intertwined with the chi of life, betraying your rebirth after death. In your weakened state, I believe I can slay you without even resorting to heavenly revelation. The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom maintained absolute rationality, his mind clear and focused. By shattering the enemy's confidence, he also sought to reassure Crimson Phoenix, Li Longshu, and the others not to be intimidated by their opponent's former glory. Between the 8th and 9th layers of the formation, Lord Lan remained enveloped by Duke Taishi's city-protecting formation. Rather than immediately breaking free, he secretly observed, assessing the combat capabilities of Zhenhai Guanwu after her millennium-long absence. If the situation turned unfavorable, he would flee without hesitation. Madame Yi retrieved an ancient zither and began playing an elegant melody. The zither's sound transcended all physical and energy barriers, attacking the third palace master's psychic power and soul spirit, preventing her from activating the 9 heavens beyond the cloud's grand formation. Crimson Phoenix and Li Longshu were ancient beings who had cultivated for 2,000 to 3,000 years, far surpassing ordinary transcendence and incomparable to the Forbidden One of Coffin Mountain. The Coffin Mountain's Forbidden One, the strongest among the 7 resurrected monk corpses from the underground immortal mansion, had only reached the transcendent realm a mere 200 years ago. Considering that the lifespan of a great immortal cultivator was only 500 to 600 years, Crimson Phoenix and Li Longshu's 2,000 to 3,000 years of cultivation in the transcendent realm meant they had already traversed a vast distance within that realm. Li Longshu's reputation for establishing the ancient myriad sects was no mere exaggeration, he held a high position within the Demon Kingdom. So it was all a bluff. In that case, today the Heavenly Emperor shall fall, and this legend will meet its final end. Seeing the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom capable of resistance, Crimson Phoenix relaxed, unfurling his massive wings and unleashing tens of thousands of spiritual artifacts from his mouth. These artifacts transformed into a vast, swirling sea of spiritual implements, dancing within the fiery clouds overhead. Li Longshu summoned his 40-meter-tall 7 treasures wondrous tree, standing beneath its radiant canopy, his body enveloped in rainbow light. The Mist Celestial's spiritual chi indeed belongs to the Grand Palace Mistress. It's clear you haven't even cultivated the other shore heavenly pill in your second life. You shouldn't have revealed yourself. Had you remained hidden, diligently cultivating for 1,000 years, you might have regained your former glory. Zhenhai Guanwu, unwilling to waste words, raised the void sword above her head. Earth Vein Awakening of Arms. Below, in Lingxiao City, 36 earth veins surged with power, erupting into 36 rivers of spiritual chi that shot skyward, converging upon the void sword. The sword trembled, its blade shimmering with densely packed, minute scriptures. Awakening the full power of a supreme artifact was no easy task. It required vast quantities of spiritual chi and considerable time. But once awakened, its might could effortlessly annihilate even transcendence. Zhenhai Guanwu aimed to use the 36 earth veins to rapidly awaken the supreme scripture within the void sword. This was her strategic advantage. For the first time, a hint of solemnity appeared in the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom's eyes. He sensed something was amiss. Without a transcendent overseeing the process, the 36 earth veins couldn't possibly unleash such immense power. Zhenhai Guanwu must have secretly summoned other transcendents into the city. Duke Taishi and the Third Palace Master weren't the only transcendents present. Attack. The Crown Prince mobilized the power of 3 immortal gates, cloud concealment, wind thunder, and starlight, ancient forces swirling around him. His steps were steady and deliberate. With a single stride, he appeared before Zhenhai Guanwu and unleashed the Holy Fist, giving her no chance to activate the supreme artifact's full power. Simultaneously, Li Longshu, the Crimson Phoenix, and transcendents from the Sacred Dark family launched attacks from 3 other directions, their chi surging with earth-shattering force. With someone taking the lead, they felt no fear. A single solid strike against Zhenhai Guanwu would reveal her true strength and weaknesses. Zhenhai Guanwu's physical body was fragile. She retreated using the spatial escape technique, covering 100 miles with each step. The Crown Prince followed like a shadow, matching her pace with equal strides. Cloud concealment power coiled around her, wind thunder converged from all directions, and starlight erupted alongside the force of her fist. Zhenhai Guanwu formed a palm strike with her left hand, clashing head-on with the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom's Holy Fist. Instantly, the skin of her entire arm split open, blood spraying everywhere. The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom's suspicions were correct. Her flesh and blood had only coalesced within the past 2 or 3 years, leaving her far weaker than ordinary transcendents. How could she possibly compare to these transcendents who had cultivated their physical bodies for thousands of years? The Mist Celestial's physical body is indeed. The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom trailed off, his triumphant smirk immediately fading. Zhenhai Guanwu's blood-soaked fingers had seized his fist in an unyielding grip, making escape impossible. How could such a powerful grip come from a fragile body? Moreover, when Zhenhai Guanwu's arm had shattered, he hadn't seen any meridian veins. This was utterly bizarre. Undaunted by the sudden turn of events, the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom executed a void-stepping technique, shifting his position to evade Zhenhai Guanwu's impending sword strike. He then unleashed a palm strike, the space around his hand warping inward as he aimed to shatter her physical form and uncover the truth. The palm strike missed its mark. Zhenhai Guanwu seized his fist and hurled him flying. Then, her arm crashed down, wielding the void sword with a fraction of its supreme power, and she slashed diagonally through the air. The sword chi surged toward the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom, the air vibrating violently and crackling on either side of the blade's path. Seizing this perfect opening, Li Longshu descended from the heavens, wielding the seven treasures wondrous tree. 7 ancient spiritual artifacts hung from the tree, their combined power churning the sea of clouds and shattering Zhenhai Guanwu's protective spiritual chi. Meanwhile, Crimson Phoenix stood at a distance, manipulating over 10,000 spiritual artifacts that coalesced into a river of spiritual chi, launching a frontal assault to create an opening for Li Longshu's devastating strike. The transcendents of the sacred dark family unleashed their dark domain, targeting Zhenhai Guanwu's vulnerable soul spirit and willpower, seeking to extinguish her consciousness. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Melworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4. Xuanhuan Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 168 423 8 Slashes of the Nether River. 168th of Volume 4. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Zhenhai Guanwu's eyes showed no fear as she slapped her waist, releasing the spatial energy of the 100 Hells Wind Chime. The surrounding world instantly fractured into 100 realms, divided by spatial power. 3 transcendent attacks clashed within the distorted space, mutually neutralizing each other and proving impossible to breach in the short term. Boom. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince slammed into the mountainside of Qilin Terrace. He immediately summoned the Cloudveil Immortal Gate to defend against the sword strike imbued with supreme power. In the next instant, he surged forward like an arrow loosed from a bow, his battle intent boundless. 3 immortal gates descended, stabilizing the 100 realms of space. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince, Li Longshu, Crimson Phoenix, and the Transcendent from the Sacred Dark family all converged on Zhenhai Guanwu. Bang! Bang! Facing 4 opponents alone, her figure blurred amidst the chaos as spiritual artifacts, imperial techniques, and scriptures collided. Whoosh! A sword-light soared into the heavens. A serpentine, icy sword chi river erupted, shooting toward the 9th heaven and sending Li Longshu and Crimson Phoenix flying backward. Both cried out in pain, blood spraying from their bodies. Their spiritual artifact battle armor shattered under the sword's force, leaving terrifying sword wounds that pierced through their chests and nearly severed them in two. The Crimson Phoenix nearly reverted to her true form from the force of the strike, screaming out in alarm, 8 slashes of the Nether River. The 8 slashes of the Nether River were even more renowned than the mist sea crushes the Star River. 2,800 years ago, she had used this sword technique in the East Sea to slay the martial mystic Dao Ancient Heavenly Emperor, Flying Dragon. Whoosh! Zhenhai Guanwu unleashed a second slash. The Nether River reappeared, and behind her, the towering silhouette of the Nether God flickered into existence before vanishing. This strike shattered the sacred Dark family's transcendent dark domain and cleaved through the ancient battle spear in her hand. The lower third of her body was diagonally severed from the waist down. Her bloodied legs exploded into twin clouds of crimson mist. A third river of Nether River sword chi surged forth. Behind Zhenhai Guanwu, the shadow of a majestic nether city materialized, its power amplified by the supreme spiritual artifact, sending the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince and the 3 immortal gates flying backward. Dozens of miles away, the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince stabilized his form, still standing tall and imposing. His eyes burned as he glared at Zhenhai Guanwu across the distance. Immortal radiance blazed from his spiritual artifact battle armor, and a thin line of blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. He was wounded. It had been many years since he had last suffered an injury. Zhenhai Guanwu was bleeding profusely, her body severely fractured. Yet as golden Buddhist light surged from her ancestral field, her wounds rapidly healed, her skin returning to its flawless state. She raised her sword, her gaze sweeping across everyone present as the radiance from the 36 earth veins behind her intensified. The shattered ninefold city protecting grand formation reformed, now stronger and more stable than before. Aboard the yellow mud colossal warship above, Lord Lan warned, the formations within Lingxiao City are rapidly repairing and growing stronger. Someone must enter the city and destroy them. Crimson Phoenix's chest bore a sword wound a foot long, nearly cleaving her torso open. Spiritual chi circulated ceaselessly within her, refining the Nether River sword chi that clung to the wound. Without this refinement, the wound would never heal, and the bleeding would never stop. Reluctant to face Zhenhai Guanwu again, she volunteered, "I'll go destroy Lingxiao City. I'll go too." Transcendent of the sacred dark family, who had sustained the most severe injuries, hastily swallowed a healing medicinal pill. The nether river sword chi that had invaded her body was strangely persistent, impossible to refine quickly. Even stopping the bleeding proved difficult, and regrowing her severed legs would take at least several hours. Below, within the city, another shift occurred. Duke Huodi of the East Sea appeared, activating the Immortal Origin formation. Instantly, all 180 formation hubs began to operate in unison. So they secretly recalled Chen Su and Huodi, Lord Lan observed, one to guard the 36 earth veins, the other to command the Immortal Origin formation. But they're likely no match for us. The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince shouted, "Lord Lan, if you continue to remain aloof, this battle will be exceedingly difficult. With your cultivation and the aid of the Yellow Mud Colossal Warship, you should have breached the city protecting formation long ago." Lord Lan chuckled. "Very well, this venerable one will destroy the formations within Lingxiao City. No, I have another proposal." The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince turned to Zhenhai Guanwu, "Mist Heavenly Sovereign, shall we settle this with a decisive battle outside the city?" Zhenhai Guanwu retorted, "What, trying to escape?" The Demon Kingdom Crown Prince shook his head. "Does the Mist Heavenly Sovereign truly disregard the lives of the city's millions of citizens? They are the elite of the Lingxiao life realm. By drawing the battle outside Lingxiao City, Yu Daojun would secure an invincible position, able to advance or retreat at will." He had long prepared countermeasures beneath the immortal planes against the Immortal Origin formation. Activating the 28 blood sacrifice altars would corrode the formation's barrier. Duke Taishi's aged voice echoed from the clouds, "Teacher, do not leave the city. The formations within are growing stronger, and all the city's martial mystic cultivators can lend you their strength. Once outside, Lord Lan and Madame Yi will be free to act, but in your current state, it would be too dangerous." Lord Lan snorted coldly and directed the radiant light of the yellow mud lamp toward a specific point in the mist-shrouded sky. A muffled sound of Duke Taishi's injury followed. Lord Lan sneered, "Do you truly believe you can restrain me with an incomplete formation? Master, give me another quarter of an hour, and the 9 heavens beyond the clouds grand formation will be fully activated," the third palace master said, using chains of spiritual light to seize a 10,000-year emperor medicine from the rear courtyard of the scale terrace Great Hall and hurl it at Zhenhai Guanwu. This 10,000-year emperor medicine had been brought back by Zhenhai Guanwu long ago. After millennia of cultivation, it had finally reached the imperial medicine level. Zhenhai Guanwu grasped the imperial medicine, channeling spiritual qi to refine it, melting it into her body. Her slightly pale face regained its color as she turned to the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince. "You won't enter the city within the next quarter of an hour. After that, when the 9 heavens beyond the clouds grand formation activates, will you still be able to escape?" A mocking smile curled the Demon Kingdom Crown Prince's lips as his voice rang out melodiously. "Since your master insists on his folly, Xian Min, let Lingxiao City be utterly destroyed today." Just as the third palace master, Duke Taishi, and many martial mystic cultivators below in the city exchanged bewildered glances, thinking they had misheard, the second palace master Xian Min's voice echoed from the peak of Phoenix Terrace. "Master, it has been a millennium since we last met. I should have appeared sooner to pay my respects. But the lingering death aura on your body, coupled with your theft of eldest senior sister's other shore heavenly pill, has filled me with profound dread." Boom. Beams of formation light and oceans of formation scriptures erupted from Phoenix Terrace, relentlessly fueling the city protecting formation and the 9 heavens beyond the clouds grand formation. Even the most formidable fortress crumbles when its internal pillars collapse. Li Wei carried the little girl on his back, wrapping her in the gray-black cloak Tang Wanzhou had given him. After descending the cliff and reaching the ground, he immediately sensed danger. Through the dense forest foliage, he spotted several dark figures flying toward them in the distance, their bodies radiating demonic energy like billowing clouds. Li Wei immediately dove underground, affixed a divine swiftness talisman to his chest, and raced eastward along an underground river at top speed. In his mind, he recalled Zhenhai Guanwu's departing figure. She had clearly intended to return and fight to the death, sending him, Yu Yaozi, and the divine martial tower's scriptures away to preserve the foundation of Lingxiao Palace. A powerful intent surged from the surface, locking onto him. How could they be this fast? An immortal realm giant. Li Wei was enhanced by the divine swiftness talisman, his speed far surpassing that of ordinary 7th heaven or 8th heaven martial mystic cultivators. Yet his pursuer, who had been over 200 miles away, had closed the distance in mere moments. He summoned the myriad manifestation staff spear, channeled the earth's yin energy, and braced for battle. Boom. Strands of blood chi seeped through the ground above, followed by a massive collapse of the earth. A young figure clad in blood handprint demon armor, wielding a serpentine spear, landed before the underground river. Blood chi surged from his body, his crimson wings retracted, and he stood ramrod straight, electric arcs dancing in his pupils. The Tao heart manifestation enveloped Li Wei. As expected, the demon kingdom had other plans. They've hidden many of their people beneath the immortal planes. What are they plotting? Fight. Li Wei summoned the golden crow flame armor, channeling both of his martial mystic and psychic powers. He unleashed a spear thrust with overwhelming force, a child's laughter echoing through the underground cavern. Young Marquis Luo Tian, surprised by his opponent's youth, momentarily hesitated. In the next instant, he focused his mind, crouched low with his legs bent, shifting his weight downward. He raised the serpent spear horizontally, executing a great technique-level battle technique in Dao technique. Boom. Boom. Countless spear shadows clashed, shattering the underground river. After a dozen exchanges, Li Wei leapt over the young Marquise's head, abandoning the fight to charge toward the surface. Now that he had been discovered and locked onto, fleeing underground would only slow him down. The young Marquise's arms burned with pain, blood seeping from his knuckles. Thrilled by encountering such a formidable young expert, his battle intent surged as he immediately pursued Li Wei to the surface. As Li Wei landed, he spotted a 100-meter-long azure bird circling above the treetops. Its body radiated a celestial glow, and the gale generated by its wings swept across the surrounding 50 kilometers of mountain forest. Clearly, the Demon Kingdom expert who had pursued them so swiftly had relied on this creature. The Divine Wing Marquise's mount, the Windchaser beast, possessed a cultivation at the 8th level of the Dao Seed realm. Yet its mastery of innate Dao techniques allowed it to harness the power of the wind, achieving speeds rivaling those of immortal realm giants. Whoosh! The Windchaser beast spread its wings and swooped down, flattening a vast swath of forest, felling trees as thick as water buckets. Li Wei executed evasive maneuvers, dodging with lightning speed. There. A martial mystic cultivator who escaped the Cloud Heaven immortal plane at this time must be extraordinary, likely carrying invaluable treasures. 3 Bloodwing clan elders with formidable auras arrived first. 2 spread their crimson wings and soared above the treetops, while the 3rd pursued on the ground. All 3 had condensed Dao fruits, making them top-tier figures in the Bloodwing clan. This qualified them to cross the distant Netherworld and plunder the Lingxiao life realm. They attacked from 3 different directions, showing no underestimation of their foe. Scriptures surged from their ancestral fields, enveloping their bodies in protective layers. Whoosh! As Li Wei sprinted, his eyes scanned all directions and his ears caught every sound. Suddenly, he transformed into a ball of purple mist, vanishing into the void before the elders' astonished eyes. In the next instant, he reappeared above them, slamming down the fully charged Purple Heaven Thunder Seal with devastating force. The Purple Heaven Thunder Seal transformed into a massive, several zhong-wide artifact, unleashing a torrent of violet lightning that surged across 100 zhong radius. PFF'd. A 7th Heaven Elder of the Dao Seed realm was instantly killed. Struck directly by the Thunder Seal, his body was reduced to bloody pulp in the deep crater. Earthworm-like lightning patterns lingered over the bloody remains, refusing to dissipate. The other 2 elders were hurled backward by the thunderous force, both spitting out mouthfuls of blood. This was the devastating strike of a myriad character artifact. Caught completely off guard, the 3 elders had never anticipated their opponent's ability to teleport. Li Wei acted with lightning speed. Landing, he immediately pierced one elder's skull with his spear. Before he could withdraw the myriad manifestation staff spear, he had already teleported to the other elder. The elder had barely regained his footing when Li Wei materialized before him. Roaring, he unleashed a storm of spiritual qi. A pillar of golden light erupted from the golden crow flame between Li Wei's brows, piercing through the spiritual qi storm. With a palm strike, he shattered the elder's heart through his battle armor. PFF'd. The Siheng Enlightenment finger shot out, shattering the 7th Heaven Elder's throat. The beam of light exited through the back of his neck. By the time young Marquis Luo Tian arrived, Li Wei had already released the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors to collect the 3 elders' Dao fruits. He withdrew the blood-soaked myriad manifestation staff spear and cast a cold glance in their direction. Having left Lingxiao City, Li Wei was now free from all constraints, able to employ any means necessary. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuansheng Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 169 424 Consecutive Kills. 169th of Volume 4. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The forest was charred black, the trees reduced to blackened stumps. The young Marquis seethed with rage and disbelief. How could all 3 elders have been slain in such a short time? Martial mystic cultivators in the 7th heaven of the Dao Seed realm, even if outmatched in combat, possessed numerous life-saving measures purchased at great expense. In most cases, they could escape even from opponents in the 8th or 9th heaven if they focused solely on fleeing. A heavy artifact. The enemy must be wielding a heavy artifact of immense power. The young Marquis studied the lightning-scorched ground, forcing down his fury to maintain his composure. He released his spiritual qi and Dao heart manifestation, both to prevent the enemy's escape and to signal for reinforcements to arrive and join the hunt. The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors had not only claimed the 3 Dao fruits but also seized 2 intact boundary pouches. Li Wei collected the Dao fruits, intending to use them to purchase millennial essence herbs for the moths in the future. A single Dao fruit could fetch at least 1,000,000 Yongquan coins. When refined into Dao fruit pills, they became precious secret medicines for martial mystic cultivators who had not inherited dragon seed bloodlines. Only during wartime, when slaughtering experts from the demon kingdom, could such actions be carried out with impunity. In normal times, killing Dao fruit realm experts from other major powers would inevitably trigger investigations, and might even provoke pursuit by immortal realm giants. War, though brutal, also presents opportunities for rapid advancement, where danger and opportunity coexist. Li Wei stowed away the Dao fruit and boundary pouch, his psychic power sensing 6 more figures rapidly converging within a 10-mile radius, forming a fan-shaped encirclement. Using spiritual qi, he levitated 3 7th-grade 100-character artifact spears from the ground and charged forward. If surrounded by these experts, Li Wei stood no chance alone. His trump cards were dwindling with each use, and with the war just beginning and a treacherous path ahead, he needed to conserve them. A single 7th-grade 100-character artifact could often fetch 1,000,000 Yongquan coins. Stop him! The young Marquis roared, giving chase. Above the treetops, the massive windchaser beast swooped down. Its body was enveloped in a 30-foot thick layer of protective spiritual qi, where raging gales could pulverize even massive boulders into dust. Li Wei had no intention of confronting it head-on. Stepping onto the luminous silhouette of a yellow dragon, he ascended skyward, soaring above the forest canopy. Below, the entire forest was flattened by the windchaser beast's rampage. Boom! Whoosh! The twang of bowstrings and the whoosh of flying swords slicing through the air echoed from opposite directions, signaling an attack from 2 powerful cultivators miles away. Arrows blazed with crimson flames, while a white flying sword shimmered with scriptures, forming twin beams of red and white light. Li Wei, suspended in midair, executed a footwork technique that left trails of azure mist in his wake, narrowly evading the strikes. In the next instant, he dove toward the dense forest from which the white flying sword had emerged, moving with lightning speed to counterattack. Surrounded by so many Demon Kingdom experts, escape was impossible. He had to seize the opportunity before the encirclement tightened, eliminating as many enemies as possible. The young Marquis rushed forward, his voice ringing with concern. Sister Yi, be careful. He carries a heavy artifact. In the snow-covered, thorn-choked forest, Li Wei encountered Luo Yi, the Divine Wing Marquis's daughter. Separated by a mile, he immediately unleashed the Ember Annihilation Finger technique. Whoosh! A wave of crimson gold finger energy, scorching and formidable, tore through the dense foliage. Within a mile of its trajectory, every plant and tree burst into flames. Sensing the overwhelming force of the attack, Luo Yi halted abruptly. Her ancestral field spiritual energy surged forth, coalescing into a swirling blood mist. The blood handprint armor she wore released over 900 scriptures, which seared themselves onto her skin. As Luo Yi unleashed her palm strike, a blood-red handprint erupted from her armor, colliding with the finger strike that had traveled over half a mile. Boom! The blood handprint exploded. Luo Yi's eyes widened in surprise as she nimbly dodged to the right. Her opponent's Dao technique was extraordinary, unleashing a scorching heatwave with terrifying penetrating power, clearly no ordinary foe. Li Wei rapidly closed the distance, the golden crow flame radiating from his body growing ever brighter. His passage ignited all vegetation in his wake, melting ice and snow into mist. 15 yards remained. Li Wei leapt forward like a divine ape, the myriad manifestation staff spear thrusting out through the air. Like a blazing sun suspended in the sky, the spear tip erupted with a blinding beam of flame. Clang! Luo Yi reached into the air, summoning her flying sword. With a single downward slash, hundreds of streams of sword chi surged forth. Boom! The clash sent Luo Yi staggering backward 10 yards, her sword held defensively. Her spiritual chi had nearly been shattered. Before she could regain her footing, a golden flame spiritual tree descended from the sky. Its branches, forged from pure gold, blazed with flames comparable to a great technique, capable of melting metal and iron. The tree's fiery descent shattered the protective blood chi and scriptures of her blood handprint armor. Luo Yi's slender, curvaceous figure was sent flying through the air. Li Wei understood the importance of a swift victory. Moving with the speed of a phantom, he swung his spear through the air, using it like a staff to strike Luo Yi's abdomen. A bone-cracking sound echoed as Luo Yi crashed heavily to the ground, blood streaming from her 7 orifices. Stop! Impudence! Lingxiao martial mystic cultivator, you're courting death. Urgent, furious shouts erupted from the forest as 5 Dao heart manifestations descended from different directions, attempting to restrain Li Wei. Thwack! Li Wei had no intention of taking hostages. With a single thrust, his spear pierced Luo Yi's neck, severing her head from her body. Before he could retrieve the Dao fruit and boundary pouch or shed his blood handprint armor, a storm of attacks rained down upon him. The ancient forest, ablaze with golden crow flame, filled with billowing smoke and the rustling of wings. A great spiritual master unleashed a yellow talisman rain, hundreds of talisman paper swords streaking through the air like a flowing stream. The spiritual master's true form remained hidden behind a millennia-old redwood tree, riding an exotic beast resembling a deer, his robes woven entirely from talismans. 3 Bloodwing clan elders swooped down from the sky. Amidst the crimson clouds, each elder wielded a black formation flag embroidered with Bloodwing patterns, forming a battle formation. The formation plate spanned 30 jong in diameter. Between the formation plate and the ground, a rapidly rotating vortex churned, capable of hurling boulders weighing thousands of kilograms into the air. Upon seeing Luo Yi's headless corpse, the young marquis roared in fury, abandoning all reason as he unleashed his spiritual chi and charged forward recklessly. Li Wei retreated swiftly, his arms sweeping in a circular motion. He activated the scriptures within the 3 7th grade 100-character artifact spears, which were enveloped in spiritual chi, and launched them at the windchaser beast and the young marquis, the fastest among his pursuers. He couldn't allow himself to be surrounded. He had to maintain the initiative, using the speed advantage granted by his talismans and the governor's official robe to employ a hit-and-run strategy, eliminating his enemies one by one. Channeling his spiritual chi, he activated the governor's official robe. Whoosh! Strands of purple light, as fine as silk threads, erupted from the robe, enveloping his entire body. Li Wei moved like a fish, using the robe's power to break free from the oppressive Dao heart manifestations and surge toward the distant great spiritual master. Au! The 100-meter-long heavenly emperor's dragon soul erupted from the dragon-shaped patch on the robe's chest, colliding with the rain of yellow talisman swords. Still trying to pick us off one by one. You underestimate the cultivators of the Bloodwing clan, a thunderous voice boomed from ahead. Before the white, mist-like dragon soul, the earth, rocks, and trees suddenly rose dozens of meters into the air, coalescing into a mountain-like earthen wall. Scriptures and spiritual chi pulsed across its surface. The opponent unleashed a formidable Dao technique. Li Wei, standing atop the dragon soul, had no time to stop or activate the spatial power of his official robe. His eyes narrowed sharply as he gripped his spear with both hands and charged forward. Boom! Amidst the dragon's roar, the dozens of meters high earthen wall shattered and collapsed. The young figure who had cast the Dao technique was a transcendent disciple, an inheritor at the peak of the 7th heaven in the Dao seed realm, whose combat prowess rivaled some martial mystic cultivators in the 8th heaven. He glanced at the mist dragon charging toward him, momentarily stunned by the heavenly emperor's overwhelming aura. Recovering quickly, he narrowed his eyes and hurled a wheel-shaped spiritual artifact. This man is definitely suspicious. His official robe is an extremely rare treasure, one that even giants of the immortal realm might not possess. We must report back to the Marquis immediately, he's a major catch who escaped from Lingxiao Palace. Over 1,000 scriptures flickered across the wheel-shaped spiritual artifact as it expanded to the size of a carriage wheel. Burning with radiant flames, it unleashed a vortex of energy that sent the mist dragon soul spiraling sideways, tearing away a large chunk of its body. Li Wei leapt into the air first, his gaze sweeping rapidly across the battlefield. He saw the young marquis, the windchaser beast, and the 3 elite warriors from the battle formation converging on him from all directions. Faced with such a formidable formation, even a martial mystic cultivator at the 9th heaven of the Dao seed realm would have to retreat. Li Wei retrieved a talisman and affixed it to his body. It was one of the 3 life-saving talismans, the Body Protection Talisman, given to him by Tai Shi Yu before the battle at the 6th Thoth Zen Temple. A body protection talisman personally crafted by a 9-star spiritual master was naturally of exceptional quality. Boom! Li Wei dove downward, thrusting his spear forward to clash with the mirror light shield sealed out technique conjured by the Bloodwing clan's transcendent disciple. The transcendent disciple braced the shield seal with both hands, taking a step back. He quickly assessed Li Wei's strength. His cultivation isn't as terrifying as it seems. He's only able to display such power thanks to the heavy artifact he wields. Ah! The transcendent disciple screamed as a sudden, razor-sharp blade slashed across his neck, severing his carotid artery and sending a fountain of blood erupting. It was 7th Phoenix. 7th Phoenix, her body as small as a speck of dust, had stealthily approached while the transcendent disciple was fully focused on defending against Li Wei's attack, successfully launching a surprise strike. The swiftest 5 phoenixes followed closely behind. Her foot-long feathered wings sliced through the transcendent disciple's left calf. With his defenses compromised from both above and below, the Transcendent Disciple could no longer maintain his full-strength defense against Li Wei. He activated a escape technique and retreated rapidly into the distance. In the blink of an eye, he was already 3 miles away. Li Wei ignored the attacks raining down from all directions, his body protection talisman's barrier remaining impenetrable to the Demon Kingdom forces. He pursued relentlessly, employing space evasion, the forward, secret incantation, and every other technique at his disposal to chase down the Transcendent Disciple. The chase led them across mountains and valleys, the two clashing in over a dozen brutal exchanges. They leveled forests and shattered cliffs. Blood streamed from the Transcendent Disciple's neck and calves as he roared repeatedly, driven to a frenzied, desperate state. If he could hold out for just a few more breaths, he might survive. A bestial roar echoed through the air. The Windchaser beast, renowned for its speed and massive bulk, appeared behind Li Wei in an instant. Boom! Abandoning all caution, Li Wei neither evaded nor defended. He swung his spear, smashing the Transcendent Disciple's head into a bloody pulp, like a watermelon exploding. Boom! In the next instant, the Windchaser beast's claw struck Li Wei, sending him flying dozens of meters through the air, tumbling violently as he crashed to the ground. His body protection talisman, which had withstood dozens of enemy attacks, finally shattered under the strain, its barrier collapsing like a bursting bubble. The talisman paper crumbled into dust. Activate the formation. Li Wei rose to his feet and slammed his spear into the ground. Stellar patterns intertwined across his body as a complex formation plate materialized around him. 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, glowing like stars, circled him, their movements synchronized with the formation plate's rotation. Rumble. The Windchaser beast attacked again, its massive claws, each 7 or 8 meters long, unleashing terrifying force as they collided with the formation plate. The ground beneath the plate cracked and collapsed, and the entire mountain trembled violently. Li Wei stood motionless, using the formation to withstand the blow. Whoosh! The purple heaven thunder seal soared above his head, erupting from the formation plate. Thunder roared as dozens of thick bolts of lightning surged outward in all directions. The Windchaser beast's massive claws shattered and disintegrated under the impact of the seal, which was several meters in diameter. Lightning bolts as thick as bowls scorched its abdomen black, blood gushing like a waterfall from beneath its feathers. Mortally wounded, the Windchaser beast let out a piercing shriek, spread its wings, and fled back to the county town over 200 kilometers away, where the Divine Wing Marquis resided. The young Marquis, the deer-riding spirit master, and the 3 Bloodwing clan elders wielding the formation flags were all formidable warriors. Some were at the peak of their Jiazi cycle, invincible among their clan members under 60 years old. Others had cultivated for centuries, surviving countless battles and accumulating immense power. Yet now, they were terrified of Li Wei. His ferocity was overwhelming. How could such a young killing god exist in the Lingxiao life realm? Is that a high-grade 1000-character artifact or a myriad-character artifact? How can he wield such a priceless treasure? Let's go. We need to stick together. We can't afford to be separated again. The young Marquis's eyes burned with dread as he regrouped with the others and retreated swiftly. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 4, Xuanhuan Dao Sect Twin Rice Sect. Chapter 170 425 Master and Disciple. 170th of Volume 4. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei exhaled deeply, having extracted the Transcendent Disciple's Dao fruit, claimed the cosmic pouch, and retrieved the 1000-character weapon wheel spiritual artifact. He then activated his body technique, appearing on higher ground. Focusing his spiritual power into his double pupils, he observed the direction in which the wind-chasing beast and the Demon Kingdom cultivators were retreating. Blood mist billowed across the horizon, spreading toward the cloud heaven immortal plane. It crawled along the formation's barrier, which Zhenhai Guanwu had established, scaling the sheer, 3,000 zhang cliffs toward their summits. The distance was too great to discern the exact situation. Yet there was no doubt that the Demon Kingdom's objective was to breach the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane's defensive formation. This looks like a blood sacrifice, Li Wei murmured, turning to face the opposite horizon. As expected, blood mist also permeated the sky in that direction. How many experts has the Demon Kingdom deployed? Did they truly see the Lingxiao realm as mere plunder? Li Wei's psychic power sensed crimson patterns spreading across the ground beneath both blood mist-shrouded areas, converging to form a connection. The blood mist to the left is about 240 miles away, while the one to the right is approximately 290 miles away. To completely envelop the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane, we'd need over 20 such formations. Li Wei, having studied countless ancient scriptures at the Twin Rice Sect's main hall, possessed a rough understanding of these bizarre formations. The Marquis they mentioned must be the one presiding over that blood mist ahead. His cultivation level can't be too high, otherwise, he could easily strike me with a Dao technique from over 200 miles away. No attack. This can only mean his cultivation isn't strong enough to reach this far. The more he hesitates to confront me, the clearer it becomes that this blood sacrifice is crucial and he can't afford to abandon it. That only strengthens my resolve to stop it. Forget it. With the Grand Palace Mistress's protective aura, even an immortal realm great power is worth testing. Li Wei gritted his teeth, hoisted the little girl onto his back, and charged forward, pursuing the fleeing little marquis and his entourage. Raising his spear, he leapt across the treetops, his arrogant demeanor a deliberate provocation. This was his chance to gauge the Marquis's cultivation level and see at what distance he would strike. If the Marquis proved to be a great immortal realm expert like Hall Master N, Li Wei would turn and flee without hesitation. Didn't the second palace master go to the Western Territory? Within the city, the Imperial Court's immortal realm great powers were reeling from this sudden turn of events, their faith shattered. For the past decade or so, while the Grand Palace Mistress had secluded herself in the palace, the second palace master had been the one overseeing the Imperial Court's affairs. At the peak of Phoenix Pavilion, Duke Taishi clutched his chest, his eyes bloodshot and his breath ragged. He finally understood why his teacher had said she saw no way to save Lingxiao City. How could it be saved? The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom's intimate address to her revealed their long-standing collusion. Duke Taishi recalled the events of the past decade. While the Shoutian Edict had indeed been issued because the Grand Palace Mistress was under the influence of the Six Thoughts Divine Mind curse, she had withdrawn into seclusion immediately afterward. The subsequent chaos within and outside the Imperial Court was clearly orchestrated, with someone exploiting the edict to eliminate rivals and seize personal gain. This conspiracy against the Grand Palace Mistress and the Lingxiao realm had likely begun over 20 years ago, the day the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom arrived in Lingxiao City. Today was merely the day they came to reap the fruits of their victory. Over 2 decades ago, the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom had offered terms too tempting for the Grand Palace Mistress to refuse. The Holy Infant had always been the Lingxiao realm's greatest threat. Each border incursion cost at least 10 million lives. Within the human race, demonic path factions cultivated by the Holy Infant specialized in collecting human infants, providing a constant supply for his consumption. For millennia, the Grand Palace Mistress had ventured into the Nether Realm over a dozen times, seeking to slay the Holy Infant, only to fail each time. Her efforts only provoked the Holy Infant's increasingly frenzied retaliation. When the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom offered an alliance to kill the Holy Infant, the Grand Palace Mistress would undoubtedly accept, even if she suspected ulterior motives. Slaying the Holy Infant was the key to everything. The Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom sought to overthrow the Lingxiao realm, plunder its resources, and avenge the Demon Monarch. But what were the Second Palace Master's motives? Duke Taishi roared hoarsely, "Why? Xuanhuan, why betray the Lingxiao Palace? Why? Did you harm the Grand Palace Mistress? Are you responsible for the decades of war that have plagued this world?" The Second Palace Master's voice remained calm. Senior Sister's cultivation turned demonic, trapping her in an extreme state of mind from which she could not escape. This led her to commit countless grave errors, which are the true root cause of the world's chaos. The Lingxiao Palace has failed, and the people have suffered. It has long since lost the hearts of the people. Let it be destroyed. Only after destruction can true rebirth occur. Second Senior Sister. The Third Palace Master's eyes widened in disbelief as she gazed at the increasingly luminous Phoenix Terrace. Her mind faltered, leaving her vulnerable to Madame Yi's psychic attack, and blood trickled from her lips. With their master's return, even in this dire situation, she felt no fear. She firmly believed that as long as they stood united, they could overcome any adversity. Even if they couldn't save the Lingxiao Palace, they could still retreat and rebuild anew. Xuanhuan's betrayal struck her like a sword through the heart. Below, Lingxiao City erupted into chaos. At the foot of Phoenix Terrace Mountain, Zhe Shantong's face was ashen, his double pupils blazing with the light of the sun and moon, a mixture of fury and anguish. For the past decade, the Second Palace Master had personally guided his cultivation, their bond as close as that with the Grand Palace Mistress. "Why?" Zhe Shantong demanded, his voice trembling, "Did you harm our master?" The Imperial Martial cultivators assisting in activating the formation, Princess Yunchong, Xingyuanu, and others, felt as if their souls had been ripped away, their fighting spirit utterly extinguished. The despair was beyond words. For over a decade, the Second Palace Master had been the Imperial Court's guiding star. What's the point of asking? Taishi Yu sneered bitterly, to her, you're nothing. The Second Palace Master probably became the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom's consort long ago. She's going to destroy Lingxiao. Ha ha ha, I've accepted my fate. I'll be buried in this city today. The city protecting formation and the 9 heavens beyond the clouds grand formation were collapsing, a cataclysmic spectacle resembling the 9th heaven itself crumbling. Facing the serene, smiling gazes of the transcendence, Zhenhai Guanwu remained the calmest of all, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of introspection, regret, and disappointment. She had long suspected this, yet refused to accept it. Now that the truth unfolded before her eyes, as their master, she bore the deepest pain and heartbreak. Zhenhai Guanwu murmured to herself, I shouldn't have allowed Yu Yao to teach you the Void Enlightenment Manual back then. She still remembered her master's warning, the Void Enlightenment Manual could only be passed down to one disciple per generation, or disaster would surely follow. The manual's unique characteristic lay in its ability to transfer the master's cultivation to their disciple upon death. Passed down through generations, each successor would inevitably surpass their predecessor, eventually ascending to become an immortal ancestor. This was precisely how Zhenhai Guanwu had been able to directly utilize the other shore heavenly pill refined by Jade Yaozi. Of course, her own profound mastery of the martial mystic Tao had also been crucial in her swift mastery of the pill's power. Therefore, when accepting disciples to inherit the Void Enlightenment Manual, strict character assessments were essential to prevent the risk of patricide and the theft of cultivation. This was why Zhenhai Guanwu had never doubted Yu Yaozi's character, daring to meet her face to face. Years ago, she had simultaneously accepted Yu Yaozi and Xuanhuan as disciples, teaching them the Void Enlightenment Manual and the Nine Heavens Secret Treasury respectively. Xuanhuan, feeling slighted by what she perceived as favoritism, secretly learned the Void Enlightenment Manual from Yu Yao, who had a soft heart. When Zhenhai Guanwu discovered this after emerging from seclusion, she repeatedly resolved to cripple Xuanhuan's cultivation. Yet each time, she was moved by the sincerity and goodness of her younger self, believing that with her guidance, she could keep the sisters in check and prevent them from turning against each other. But who among us wasn't once genuine and virtuous in our youth? No one is born inherently evil. The second palace master, adorned in magnificent phoenix robes, emerged from the grand hall, her dark hair flowing like a cloud. Spiritual chi surged from her body in countless streams, activating the formation within the phoenix terrace. Looking down, her voice remained calm, Master has always been partial. Only senior sister is your true disciple, the rest of us are merely registered disciples. Master, you are dead. Yet by seizing senior sister's other shore heavenly pill, I could instantly possess your current combat power. If that heavenly pill were given to me, and I absorbed her entire cultivation, I could fully assimilate it within a century and ascend to the martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor realm. That is the true pursuit for a martial mystic cultivator. I've never understood one thing, cultivators should strive for ultimate freedom and supreme power. Why, then, did you and senior sister confine yourselves to this mere Lingxiao realm? Master, are you guarding some ancient secret here? Zhen Si Mist Dao replied, you cannot reach the martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor realm. You haven't even broken through your current realm. If you could, why would you have chosen this wicked path? What is wicked, and what is righteous? Master, you never taught me that, the second palace master said. I did teach you. You've simply forgotten. Zhenhai Guanwu continued, let me teach you again. If your senior sister had absorbed your cultivation, she would have long since broken through to become a heavenly emperor. Yet she never harbored such a thought. This is the difference between righteousness and evil. Righteousness and evil aren't determined by how many people you kill or save, but by whether you can control your desires. Humans are nothing but bundles of desires. The second palace master bowed respectfully, thank you for your teachings, master. Now, your disciple requests your death to complete my path to becoming a heavenly emperor. Boom. The Lingxiao Palace's second supreme artifact, the Thunderstrike Jade, having fully absorbed spiritual chi from the Heaven Law Earth Spring atop Phoenix Terrace Mountain, began to spin and ascend. From the size of a bracelet, it expanded into a colossal jade ring over a mile in diameter. Rumble. Supreme power erupted as the Thunderstrike Jade unleashed thunder and lightning, transforming the sky into a sea of tribulation lightning. Spiritual chi boiled, and the Cloud Heaven Immortal Plane became a crucible of thunder and lightning. This was once the Thundercloud sect's most treasured artifact. With the Phoenix Terrace formation and the Heaven Law Earth Spring at her back, the second palace master felt confident that, wielding the Thunderstrike Jade, she could suppress and kill any enemy below the martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor. Even if a martial mystic Tao Heavenly Emperor appeared, she dared to measure her strength against them. Zhenhai Guanwu raised her head, spiritual light blazing between her eyebrows. If I hadn't sustained some injuries, you wouldn't have dared to reveal yourself, let alone become so recklessly arrogant. Whoosh. A formidable psychic power erupted from between her eyebrows, severing the connection between the second palace master and the Thunderstrike Jade. Then, Zhenhai Guanwu reached out with her hand across the void, executing one of the 12 dispersed hands of the Chan sect, the spirit treasure seizing hand. She had learned it simply by watching Li Wei use it repeatedly. With her cultivation level, her execution of the spirit treasure seizing hand resonated perfectly with the heavenly Tao laws. A divine phantom hand materialized in the void, seizing the thunderstrike jade. Zhenhai Guanwu had indeed fallen 1,000 years ago, her martial mystic Dao cultivation dissipating. However, her head remained intact, and the spiritual power Nianli stars within her spirit realm between her eyebrows had merely withered, neither shattered nor completely extinguished. This was the fundamental reason she had not truly died. With the aid of the Fusong divine tree in Tanggu Sea, all her spiritual power Nianli stars had been rekindled. Yet she had not yet returned to the level of Emperor Realm Psychic Spiritual Master. That final step could not be achieved solely through the Fusong divine tree. Within the spirit realm, the starry sea blazed brilliantly. Though not an Emperor Realm Psychic Master, the psychic stars now possessed 50% of the power of Emperor Flame. Whoosh! The thunderstrike jade coalesced into a sphere several dozen meters in diameter, hovering above Zhenhai Guanwu's palm. Her eyes sharpened as she swung her hand forward. The thunderstrike jade transformed into a celestial wheel of thunder and lightning, its radiance reaching its zenith. It instantly obliterated a transcendent from the sacred dark family who was attempting to flee overhead, reducing him to a cloud of blood mist. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.